Now, there's something I want to tell you guys, but I must preface it by saying this is not a promise. It is not a promise because there's a lot of things that can happen in between. But some of you may know that I was invited to the Retro Computer Museum in Leicester a few weeks ago. Leicester's not far from where I live. And I was, again, the guest speaker, and they charged entries for that, and it was all to raise money for the museum, which was great. And while we were there, Andrew, Andy, the guy who runs the place, pointed out they'd got this CD1200, one of only 9 examples, the prototypes that was ever made. I've tracked down where that came from, by the way, and as it happens, it came from a very good friend of mine, Malcolm and Rona Sargent, who used to have Cavendish Commodore Centre in Leicester. Anyway, cut a long story short, we did a little video on it. And then the next thing you know, there's this thing started about who would buy one of these if we could get one. In other words, if we could get them remade. And somehow or other, my name was put on it, and I didn't do that, but that's okay. And it's been an incredible response, because I think we've got something like 450 people have all said they want to buy one, and we haven't even promoted it yet. Now, I had this concept about if we were able to produce the CD1200 again, maybe we could make it something a bit more than just the CD1200. So I had a chat with some technical people, and I've consulted Dave Haney. I've consulted Paul Lasser. Paul Lasser was the guy who designed the 4000. He works for me at Friend, not me directly, but for us at Friend. Great engineer. And Beth Richard, who was the lead engineer on it in the first place. So she's the one who told me about there only ever being 9 prototypes. And she's since discovered some early drawings that she thought she hadn't got. Anyway, what I did, I've approached these people and said, what if we can produce what is essentially the CD1200, but we add a few things into it? For example, we add a couple of SD slots. We enable it to, we'll have a Raspberry Pi inside. We enable it to be, the concept is that we want to make it a friend product. So we initially said, let's put in a small router. But as Dave pointed out, every man and his dog's got their own router, so we don't need to do that. But anyway, the concept is that we end up with a product which can also be a standalone product in its own right. So it doesn't have to, add on to a 1200. But those people who want a 1200, we're also looking at should we make it Blu-ray compatible? Because actually, Blu-rays are cheaper to make than DVDs. That's probably not a good option. But what I'm trying to say to you is that we put forward all of these suggestions and said, what if? And I only got a reply back from Dave Haney about 3 days ago. Most of what we've said, what we've suggested, is doable, and so what will probably happen? What I said, I must promise me that you understand. I can't guarantee this is going to happen, but we think that there is enough. If we promote this, there'll be enough people to actually do a Kickstarter to fund it. But I've also got, and as it happens, Trevor knows this person as well. Somebody in Italy who has been wanting to invest in some kind of Amiga hardware or some kind of Commodore hardware. He was interested in getting in investing in 65, and I've talked him out of that completely because it would be a nonsense idea. But I think, and I haven't spoken to him yet, but I think if we talk to him about the CD1200 and what we plan to do with it and making it a friend-compatible product as well, a bit like a Chromebook, but friend, that's what we're talking about. And I think he would invest in it too. But only, of course, once we've costed it out. And Dave Haney and Paul Lasser and Beth Richard have all said that they're happy to work together. And that's a really winning combination, let me tell you. So if they can design the product and we can cost it and it's a doable, viable proposition, then I think we'll do another test market, via the Facebook groups and say, right, this is what it's going to cost for you to buy. How many still want to buy it? and then take it from there. And if it's viable, then rest assured it was something that we'll definitely look at.